You're listening to Ecto Portal, a journey into the unknown with Anthony Anderson and Verna Wilson.
Welcome back to Ecto Portal. This is Anthony Anderson, your host, and I'm here with
Verna Wilson,
my co-host, and also
Linda Walker. And we have two special guests in the studio today.
Yes, we do. If you want to talk right into the microphone, there's.
Hello, everyone.
No. Come closer to the microphone.
Little microphone issues.
Closer.
Okay, closer.
Like real close. Like you can
There
say
you
your
go.
name?
Oh, really close. Rebecca.
Rebecca Boyd and
Trish Hollenberg.
I'm going to turn their microphone up a little bit louder.
we're going to be speaking to
There you
them
go.
later about psychics, service versus business.
That's right.
We got you now.
That's right. Exactly. We were already having discussions before the show, so we'll go back to those and more, I'm sure. Okay, first let's start off by discussing what we did this past week. What did you do this past week, Verna?
Well, I did two things. I shopped and I straightened out my life.
Oh, wow. One seems easier than the other.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, straighten out my life by doing lots of laundry and lots of clearing around the house because it really needed it and it feels a lot better. And everything got done and I'm very happy about that.
That's awesome. Always good to clean your house. It always makes you feel better.
Yes, especially
I'll
mine
feel-
gets very dusty.
There you go. You can come over and clean mine, and I'll feel much better.
Thank you. I'll tell you the rates later. I'm just kidding.
All right. Linda?
Hi. Right now I'm babysitting a cat with my husband and Vallejo.
Two-people job.
Oh, yeah. It's a big
Some
cat.
cat.
You should see this cat.
Wow.
And it's just kind of like a mini vacation for us. And also we was up in Audubon celebrating my husband's birthday and stuff. And that was a lot of fun. And freezing to death up there. It was colder than heck.
Wow.
So,
It's been
but yeah,
cold here.
huh?
It's been cold here.
No, I mean, it
Colder
dropped
than
to the
usual.
20s.
It was
over there,
freezing
up
out
in the
here.
mountains. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I did. And that's what I'm doing right now. We're babysitting. So, that's right.
Okay, I see. So I just did nothing because I've done something. I've gone on a trip for Christmas like the last 4 years in a row, Chicago, wherever. And this year I decided to do absolutely nothing.
I know you stayed home for the
I
first time
had
this year.
I had to put up resistance for invitations. Like, no, I have plans. My plans were nothing. I just didn't tell anybody that.
You know, that's really hard for Anthony to do absolutely nothing.
Well, I didn't do absolutely nothing. I never do nothing. I prepped 2 or 3 shows.
Oh, I knew it.
Did some
Of course.
website work for the show.
Of course, I did some
like
some
a
research for the
staycation
show
in a way.
too. So.
It was a staycation.
Yeah,
And-
you needed that.
And I'm obsessive compulsive, so even when I'm doing nothing, I'm probably working on something.
Of course.
yeah,
so-
me too.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's what I did. I baked a little, which is right there.
I know.
Yeah,
You
I
guys
can't wait
got to
to try
see. He
those.
made these amazing waffles. It's
They're
really
pizzelles.
yum.
Pizzelles.
They look really good.
Pizzelles.
Puzzles.
Pizzelles. Oh, pizzelles.
Pizzelles.
Okay.
They're like waffles.
Yeah, they are waffles.
It's like these are like a poor man's version because I don't have a pizzelle maker.
Oh.
But I had to use the recipe and I used the waffle maker.
I'm sure they're just
they
as
cook
delicious.
the same, but they don't have the designs.
Well, they look yummy, and I can hardly wait to dig
They're
my
good. They're good.
face into it.
All right. And what about our guests? What did you guys do this week?
I meditated.
Okay.
Met with some friends, and went to visit a wonderful place called Chabot in the east Bay,
Oh,
where they have horses.
oh, nice.
So we worked with the horses and had a wonderful time. Horses are very empathic. So we just shared. And then for Christmas, took little gifts to people that were homeless, and I wanted to give back. So that was my Christmas.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
That's very Rebecca.
It's
Verna
so-
and I have known Rebecca for 20 plus years.
20 plus years, yeah.
we've
And she
known
ran
each-
across us on the bus, but she didn't say that.
She's an amazing human being and
She
a
is. She's
beautiful lady.
wonderful.
Just not
And-
during a commute.
And next to her, there's another beautiful lady. What'd you do?
Okay. What did you do?
What did I do this week? Actually, I didn't celebrate Christmas very much because I'm having a rest, like Anthony at the moment, off of the
Some
whole
me time?
holidays. We did do a little bit Hanukkah for the first night. 'Cause
Okay.
It was Christmas Eve. A very minimal baby one.
Yeah.
And stayed in bed some of the time and basically was lazy.
That's okay. It's recharging. You're
I should have
recharging.
been cleaning like Verna, but unfortunately,
Yeah. Well, I'm
I
saving my
blanked
Christmas.
out of my mind.
I'm saving my Christmas for Saturday. I'm going to have Christmas and New Year all in one Saturday.
Oh, I bet.
Good
Yeah.
plan. I may be doing the same in that case.
There you go.
Me too.
I agreed to do the second video shoot for Dolce de Leche's RuPaul audition, so I have to shoot that tomorrow morning.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
Busy.
I totally forgot I had set that up for this week, but I'm like, I guess I am working tomorrow.
You are.
Let us know how that goes.
He scheduled it for 2.5 hours, but I'm sure it's going to take like 4.5
course.
again. So, but that'll be fun.
You want to get your friend into RuPaul.
Well, I guess I could actually put that as a credit if I get on the if he gets on the show, because then the
Okay,
auditions used throughout the
and
season.
it'll open doors for you.
Well, probably not.
You never
Let's be
know.
honest.
You don't know.
You know, like, hey, you want to shoot more drag videos? No. But you know, it's fun. It's for a friend, coworker.
Nice. That's very nice of you to do that.
It is. It's great. So, are you ready to do your? Yeah,
it's
the
time
reason-
for-
What's the reason you're really here, Linda? Other than that wine bottle,
Shh.
she has a
I'm
leak.
here to do the news for my big fans out there in Radio
All right,
Land.
we'll let her get herself together. Let me know
Yeah,
when
let me
you're
get
ready.
myself together.
Then we'll prep for you. So Linda's going to do the paranormal news. I guess she thought she had the night off.
I almost did.
She did, but
We
she's
dragged
here
her
now.
here. We said, we have friends here. That's not cool. You got to be here.
Well, maybe. How did you get here, Linda, so fast? Did
I
you,
swam
did you
through
use
the bay.
Portal to get here?
Yeah, I went through Verna's closet.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
The
don't go on
portal.
with my closet again.
The portal. She used it again.
That's an inside joke. I'll have to tell you two about it later.
Probably has a lot of energy now that it's cleaner.
Very funny.
Where's my Ghostbuster thing?
I'm waiting for you.
I'm
Here we
ready.
go.
There we go.
Made a new one of this for you.
Okay, hi everybody. Just to before I get into the news and everything, I just found out today that Debbie Reynolds died. Carrie Fisher's mother passed away a few hours ago and everything. And wow, it's just been really, really crazy about people dying almost every single day. And also, I wanted to have a big shout out from Beyond the Abyss with Carrie Fisher, and I'm sure she's waiting to hang out with her mom and everything. And you know, she was a big influence in Star Wars and other her mental illness and everything that she has been through in her life. I've really admired and loved this woman very much, and you know, and all I can say is safe journeys and everything. So I just wanted to mention that. And also George Michael's, I'm not a big fan of his, but there was one song I loved of his, was called Freedom. And you know, he went through a lot of hell and everything. It's just been loads and loads. It seems like the Reaper's just been coming.
Did you read what happened though? They found out why he died.
Why he died?
Why?
He secretly had a heroin addiction,
Oh wow.
Oh, that's
and he spent a lot of
sad.
time indoors. I guess in the last while, and it's gotten worse. And
So he
that's-
he OD'd?
overdosed, yeah, on heroin.
Sad.
Oh well, such is life.
And on Christmas Eve, Richard Adams, who wrote Watership Down, he passed away.
Yeah.
I have his books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Richard Adams.
Well, let's hope nobody will pass over by New Year's and everything.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so most of the stuff that I got is very simple there on the Echo Portal page. This one particular, we were talking about Verna's cats, about certain lighting and camera pictures, Yeah, meow. Anyhow, this guy supposedly took a picture when he was asleep and he has no memories of it. He had a snapshot showing his foot and his lower leg, and there's like this huge beam coming down his leg. And then also he said that it had like a shadow behind it. Now, I kind of relate to that in somewhat ways because I did take pictures of my son when he was a baby. My place was pretty well haunted.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of him, and there was like a vortex, and then there was this black line against him. I took this twice, showed it, and same
So what do you think it
position.
was?
I have no idea. Anyhow, so there was a strange little white light streaking through his bed in the middle of the picture, and then he thought it was a technical glitch or something like that. But examining it and everything, they said it cast a shadow on the bed. So, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you the guy's name. His name is Vincent Smith, 42. I think he was from Glasgow, Scotland.
Yes.
Trish's homeland.
Glasgow.
Trish is from Scotland. Glasgow or Edinburgh?
Dundee. In fact, Dundee.
Oh, she's from Dundee, yeah.
There you go.
And so he was seriously spooked. Check out the picture and you decide if you think it is paranormal or it's not paranormal. A lot of these kind of snapshots, some people think it's not paranormal, whatever. We can do a whole show on photographs and things like that.
And we have, but we can do another one.
But yeah. Okay, and now this
be
one
fun.
I'm really interested in. There was a chilling footage of this Russian gulag. Is goulash? What do you call it?
Gulag.
The Russian gulag where Stalin used, it was his facility where he sent a lot of his victims and people to do hard labor. And they put a camera around this facility, and the CCTV captured an orb going all around the building, the single orb, just
Really?
all over the place and everything. And also, Stalin was known to hang out in that place and everything. So if you want to check out that footage, it's really super cool. I really like it. I think, a lot of people, are for orbs and are against orbs. But this orb particular is very interesting. You guys should check that out. And last but not least, you're going to love this, Trish. And that's probably why I picked it up, because of you. In Glasgow,
ghosty.
Royal Infirmary, there's this really cool hospital that was built in the 17th century and is known to be very haunted. And if you go, it's 18th century, but they said it's been 17. It's just kind of like telling about the different kind of apparitions and people that have seen ghosts around this hospital. Oh, the hospital was built in 1794. And they have like several ghosts, like the floating sister nun ghost. People claim to see her around, or the one nurse talked to her, and they say you can see her a full apparition, but you can't see her knees. She's kind of like floating. And then there's another guy who hangs around. His name is Archie, and he comes to the patients and talks to them. And he's also another ghost. And and of course, there's always the gray lady who hangs
Gray,
around.
blue, white.
Yeah, I know. But this one is great. She dressed in gray, seen walking up and down corridors, and seems to disappear through the corridors. So she could be probably a residual kind of ghost. So, go and check out the stories. They're really, really interesting. And that's it for my news this week. Yay! There we go.
Thank you, Linda, for more exciting of the unknown.
No problem. Let me open that wine.
There's Scottish people here.
I know, we're Scottish too.
Get to work.
Scottish too.
Sorry, I'm half Irish,
on
so.
our father's side.
You know? That's my white side of the family. Our family is Scottish. Wilson, duh.
Yeah.
And I married a Walker.
Absolutely. I have walkers in my family.
See?
See, my last name Anderson. So.
I know.
Son
And
of
Patrick is my middle name, so.
And we're proud boozers.
Then the other half comes from Austria, Austrian royalty, Habsburgs.
Ooh.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I want to get back on the
Well,
island.
we're distant cousins of Queen Mary of Scots.
Really?
Yeah.
Very
my
distant.
auntie.
Very distant.
My auntie. I didn't know we would connect.
See, the real reason we're all here, it's a reunion.
Exactly.
Of course.
Long lost cousins.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, Linda, did you notice what I was wearing today?
Yeah.
Just for you.
I
gotta have a picture of that.
Oh my God!
What do you
Who gave
think?
that to you?
Who
what do
gave
I
this to me?
think?
What am I wearing?
Well, love will not keep us together. I'll tell
No,
you.
they did get divorced.
A Captain and Tennille shirt.
Yeah, this is a gift from Jackie. I don't know if it was for me or to show Linda, so Linda would get a reaction out of it.
Oh well, yeah. Well, Jackie, gee God, you
'Cause we
had
know
to get him
Linda-
that T-shirt.
Linda loves Captain and Tennille so much.
I love Captain Tennille like I
I
love.
thought I heard you
Like
humming
I love-
Muskrat Love.
I know she does.
like I love.
I mean, in
getting
your
my
off
teeth
time, that's what you
drilled.
were humming. I thought he couldn't be into that. He really couldn't.
Just tonight,
But
she
I'm
was
wrong.
singing "Lonely Night Angel Face." I heard her. Or
Oh,
shop
me?
around. Shop around. I heard you humming that.
Shop. I don't even know that song.
Oh, she's gonna play
All I
coy
know is
now.
Oh,
Muskrat-
she's full of it.
all I
Linda
know
knows
is
all the
Muskrat
corny
Rock.
70s tunes.
She
You know
does.
what? Yeah, thanks a lot.
You should see
Jackie,
her in
for getting him that
Walgreens.
T-shirt.
She sings the corny 70 tunes in Walgreens in front of the customers.
I do.
Do you sing along, or do you just sing?
She
it out?
sings along and
I sing
loud.
along. I dance,
And she
everything.
dances in the aisle, too. She really does.
Wow.
That's okay. Good. That's normal.
Is that normal?
I do it.
See,
Okay.
Trish is cool.
And Rebecca's
All right.
seen it.
She's in the cool club.
You've seen Linda do that.
And then you've gone the other way. You're like, I'm not with her.
People join in.
You join in. There
They
you go.
join in. They feel
No,
inclined.
usually Rebecca just laughs and laughs.
So do the salespeople. Everybody laughs. You can get away with it.
I guess so.
Want a glass of wine, Berto?
Yeah.
Well, I actually read.
Trying to get me drunk, huh?
I read Toni Tennille's memoir that she released like last year,
Yeah.
which goes talks
she have a
about the
boyfriend?
divorce.
Wow, you even read their memoirs.
Well, she talks
Wow,
about the
you are a
divorce, the
fan.
whole career through the 70s, the Beach Boys, since she was official Beach Boys. She was the only Beach girl they ever hired.
I can't stand the Beach Boys.
But it's interesting to listen to her talk about the relationship they had.
what kind of
and-
relationship they have?
You were so cynical. Listen to her voice.
Yeah, really. What kind of relationship did they have?
God, Linda. Just the mental abuse that he would put on her. Like when they would tour, he refused to let her go out and eat with the band or eat dinner or go out to dinner. He made her come back to the room and he would pull out like rice and he would make it on a little hot plate. He would actually cook plain rice, and he had a weird, really strange diet, and he forced her to have it too. And he just had this hold on her, and that she said when he divorced, it was the best thing she ever did in her life. So,
He's a control freak.
yeah, and now he's a control freak by himself.
That's right.
So-
Muskrat love.
No one to share the rice. The soul. Not one person is willing.
Thank you.
More rice for him.
Did you want one?
Oh, no, thank you.
I'm sorry, no.
That would be a first.
So,
Isn't that amazing? Behind the happy pictures and the love will keep us together, what's really going on.
well, they were
Well,
asking
you
like,
know.
you listened to them. I said I was 6 when I actually bought a record, their first
You were
record.
just a kid. What do you know
I
the
didn't
difference?
know anything. In fact, I bought it in Spanish by accident.
Oh, no.
The store's like,
Isn't that cute?
you wanted to
he bought
order
the wrong
this.
language.
I said, I didn't want Spanish. They're like, well, that's what you said you wanted. And like, but I wanted English. I'm like, all right, give it back. We'll give it to you the English version.
Maybe you had a speech impediment.
Pick
That
on
sounded like
Tony.
saying, "Oh, please,
I was
Mamacita."
Catholic. Does that count? Is that a speech impediment?
It was what? No.
I can imagine your record
Catholicism?
collection at 6 years old.
There was a lot of Disney in there.
Oh,
Olivia
Which
Newton-John.
explains. No, not that young. Not in the mid 70s. That wasn't it. She was still twanging on country at that point. Early 70s.
Yeah.
She hadn't moved into the Greece area.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She wasn't in Greece yet.
All right. So yeah. So we're almost at our first break.
Well, all I can say, thanks a lot, Jackie.
She loves the shirt, Jackie. She really does.
Oh, I do. I love
And
that.
it'll
She
fit-
sat across from me at dinner, and I looked at it, and I went, "What?"
No, what was funnier was the people
I-
sat behind Verna and Linda. We're all looking at the shirt going, like, what the hell is he wearing that for? What is this, 1975 all over again?
No, they probably. Well, most of them were 19. They were mostly 20-year-olds, and they go, "Who's Captain Netanyahu?"
Yeah, that's probably like,
don't know
is that his
that.
mom
That's
on
kinda
there? Or is that his
said
parents
Mom
on his
and
shirt?
It's the latest hot band. It's just not cool, these
Don't
people.
you know? Haven't you ever heard him? Captain Netanyahu.
I mean, we all have our peculiar music tastes. I mean, I know what's in her record collection. Nights in White Satin. We all
Nights
know
in
what's in
White
her record
Satin.
that's a
collection.
great song, though.
That's a great song.
No
but
matter how you
Rebecca's
slice
she
it.
has so much
Huge
Moody Blues, that she
Blues.
could have a Moody
that's a
Blues
good
record
choice.
collection
But she has good taste. Moody
Yeah,
Blues
Moody
were
Blues
She does
are
have
awesome.
good taste.
brilliant band.
They are
Yeah.
a great band.
They were the only ones I would listen to. In
So,
the
Rebecca,
70s,
you're
practically.
exposed on
Next
your
to
record
David Bowie.
collection.
Was Marilyn McCoo in the Moody Blues the whole time? Do you know Marilyn McCoo? Do you know if she was in the Moody Blues the whole time?
Oh, I guess
Do
she
you know
wasn't
Moody
then.
Blues very well?
Yes, very, very.
She used to host. There was a show in the 80s and late 70s called Solid Gold. And she was the host. And she
that's
said
right.
she was in the Moody Blues. So I just wondered if you knew if she was in there like a split second, which is what it's sounding like.
Yeah, and there's split seconds. They always been just boys, the guys in the band. Yeah, I never seen a woman in the band.
I wonder if that's what she did, like on tour. She made it sound like she was the number one singer in Moody Blues.
Oh, she wish.
That's the only
The
time
only
I've ever heard
person
of
she
her.
knows is the number one singer is Justin Hayward. And John Lodge, yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say Justin Bieber for a second.
No, Rebecca goes
God.
to every
Rebecca,
Moody
oh my
Blues. Every
God,
time the Moody
no.
Blues come into town, she's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's there, front row. Yep.
Wow.
She's always there. Yeah, she goes to their shows,
That's
everything.
awesome.
You fall asleep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's magical. People
You fall
go in
asleep to
there-
their music?
No, because you go into a different dimension. If you're
Oh,
open to
right,
it,
right.
it opens your heart, your soul. It's very high energy.
You take a lot of acid.
No, I don't know about that.
That happens.
I guess
You're
they
found
do.
out, Rebecca.
Now you know. Yes.
Uh-oh,
Didn't
the
you know the
secret's
music
out.
was for people to take acid and
Tonight's
trip on their
topic
music?
is going to be acid and the trips you go on.
Had no idea.
That'll be later.
No, but I've made tapes of the Moody Blues for animals that were ill,
Oh, yeah.
and they would crawl to put their heads next to the tape.
And the dogs would howl, right? I'm kidding.
Listen
I'm
to
kidding.
you. Oh my
Rebecca, I'm picking
God.
on you.
These girls tonight.
Yes, my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh,
we got the sisters
I'm a
here.
big girl. I can handle it.
I know.
She can handle Linda and I for years.
Yeah, she knows that.
They're my sisters.
That's right. She's true.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we're going to go to
Trish,
our
too.
first music break, and then we're going to come back and delve into psychics.
Yay!
Ask all the questions.
Business
Anyway.
versus service, or both. So we'll be right back on Ecto Portal.
See you soon.
Psychics who work out of street corner shops use a variety of scams to defraud their clients. This is one of the most common. A client is asked to bring in a treasured possession that belonged to a deceased loved one, usually a ring.
She's asking me to show you something with the ring. Let me.
The psychic supposedly gets a message while clasping the ring in her hands. Mysteriously, the ring then begins to levitate as a sign of communication with the spirit.
Did it just move? It is moving.
Once the woman's confidence is won, the psychic takes out a set of psychic slates, which will allow the spirit to send her a special message from the other side. The psychic shows her client the blank slates and closes them. She then asks for a message from the spirit. When the slates are opened, a very personal thought from the deceased relative has mysteriously appeared.
Oh my God.
The psychic's act is so convincing that the victim is sure to come back again and again.
Hello, and welcome back to Ecto Portal, and now we are here with our special guests, as you know. We're going to talk about psychics, service versus business, a little of both. Some who do one and not really the other. They do strictly business for money. Others who do it for the sake of sharing their gift and their abilities, I would say. So that's kind of the topic I think Verna came up with a couple months ago, right?
Yes.
Before we did this?
And I got it. I got the topic from somebody who's very close to me, and he has some questions about it. So I thought it was about time we get some reputable readers on the air, and they can talk all about it because they've been in the business for many, many years.
Mm-hmm. And I've had good and bad experiences with psychics. Like I said, Sylvia Brown. I told this story before on the air, I think. This was back in like 1997. I was working at the post office, like overtime. It was around Halloween. And we heard that she was going to be in town at a local movie theater to do a reading. It was kind of a promotional thing for Halloween. So Halloween morning is when we got off work at 4 a.m. So we decided, let's just go down to the theater, hang out, see what this event's like, and then probably go back and go to sleep. So we get off work, we go down there, we're dead tired, no pun intended for Halloween. And she's down there, it's a promotion, they have a cameraman following her around, and she's going to tour the theater and give her thoughts and impressions on the theater. It's an old theater built in the late 1800s up in Washington State. It's in a little small town called Everett. It was a movie theater. It was originally, I think, a vaudeville theater. It was a really tiny one. And she walked around and she said, yes. She goes, yeah, I see a young woman on stage right now. She's getting ready to go on. She's excited. She goes, she's doing a production of Our Town. She says, they do it every year here. And then she walked around and said, yeah, there's a gentleman in the balcony. Oh, she says, something happened up in the balcony. And she says, was it always a balcony? She says, there was another projection booth up above. There was two of them, one for lower floor and one for up above. And that there was a wood stove, and someone had killed someone and bashed their head in the wood stove, and he got away with it. And she's retailing, giving us all these details and events, and that the second projectionist room existed and stuff. And they're all like, "Wow, that's exciting! That's great! It's being on the radio at the same time." So we follow her around a little more, and then she sits on stage, and I'll never forget it. It was the weirdest setup to me. I don't know why it struck me as weird. She sat in a single chair on the stage of the theater, and then everybody lined up like a court. They were all going to go up and greet her one at a time, I guess. I don't know how much you can do in like a 20-second reading. So they all took turns going up, and I went up, and she just looked bored. She looked so bored, detached. She didn't want to be there. And she can tell she was saying, yeah. And someone said, well, I get this. She said, yeah, you'll get that. Someone said, is this going to happen to me? No, it's not. Okay, yeah, no. And then she'd just do on to the next person. She just very little, hardly even looked at them, half of them. And then I asked her about my mom, and she says, yeah, I said, she's been kind of sick. And she goes, oh, she'll be fine. I go, okay. And so the next day I go back to the theater and I ask the guy who owns it. He goes, I've been a projectionist here since 1942. There's never been another projection booth. There's only been one. It's a single house theater. No one's ever been murdered here. And I actually went back to the library that had records of every production they ever had since they opened. Not once did they do Our Town.
Aww.
So the more facts I found out by doing the research and asking people, the more I was like, oh my God. I feel really duped. Not that I paid her anything, but still.
I think it was kind of unusual for her to really be sitting down in a chair, because when I saw her back in, I think it was back in the late 70s or something like that. It was at Chabot College in Hayward, and she did her thing, and my best friend at the time we went to go and see her, and she didn't even, she just kind of picked up people from the audience, because that's what she usually does, like so-and-so there, or if they had a question, and she would do it. I think it was kind of unusual for people to come up to her. Instead,
yeah, John Edward does that a lot.
Because that's not really what she does.
I actually knew someone in New York who worked for the studio that John Edward would go back to a lot. I don't know what talk show it was. And he actually has a deal where they have microphones above the audience. Right, for different reasons, obviously.
Right.
And he actually has an assistant who sits there, and she listens to each microphone, to what this person in the red sweater sitting here, her father just died. Her mother's doing this, and she writes down all the information about. She picks people out around the microphone. Bright blue sweater with stripes. This gentleman, his wife died of cancer last week or last month. And then before he goes on, he reviews all of this.
Right.
And then, guess what? His magic cold reading suddenly works on air. And he does a lot of cold reading. And this is the dangers, I think, that real psychics have to deal with, is this guy is basically doing a magician's parlor trick.
Right.
So
that is so wrong.
And that's
That
the
is
thing.
so wrong.
And that's the thing that that a lot of psychics are people who claim to be psychic. Don't get that wine all over your nice white shirt.
I know. Like, oh my God. I almost fed the captain snail when I was eating.
But I noticed a lot of
Exactly.
That's how a lot of these supposedly psychics, get their information. Is like people give away the information, and that's why I am so leery of a lot of psychics. I don't give any information out. I don't say a thing. I always keep my mouth shut. I wanted to see what they have
my
to say,
problem
and
is
I don't agree with them or nothing.
I want to
I'll go,
believe
yeah,
and give my
yeah,
faith to it,
Right.
and I'm afraid by some of the stuff I've seen in encounters of certain people that if I do that, is it gonna come back to haunt me? No pun intended. So I'm not a disbeliever. I'm just very, very cautious.
I'm very cautious,
And with good reason.
So now you guys know where my perspective.
right.
But I'm as a ghost hunter, I'm learning that even ghost hunters develop certain abilities because you have an innate awareness of things
You
around
have
you.
to.
You start to develop even if you don't want to, just by paying attention, listening.
Listening and keeping your mouth shut.
Exactly.
You start to develop these abilities, and I have a hunch with psychics that's probably the same kind of thing. Over years, you really pay attention to people, their actions, their moods, their energies. Things that are important to them, things that aren't important.
And
you guys can jump in.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
you
and
guys
this is
can-
what I can say
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Trish here. Trish and Rebecca. Rebecca was in the same room when our mother passed away, and Trish went to my mom's little mini funeral we had, and also she gave us a reading. And Trish invited us to her office and told, that she would do a reading for us and everything. And the first thing I told her, and I'm sorry, Trish, I told her, don't say anything to Trish, because this was the first time I was getting a reading from you, right? And I kept quiet. Spot on, woman. This one was so spot on, it scared the hell out of me.
She told childhood secrets that Linda and I never told anybody.
She found out about my child.
Nice.
Somebody told me.
That's good. That's the whole point.
What
That's the whole
really,
point,
what really
yeah.
surprised me too is when she told me, she said, "Who lost a baby?" And well, obviously Berna didn't, but
No, I haven't lost.
but I lost my first child, and she explained to me. Fascinating. I was very impressed with her. She was very professional, and I said, okay,
Thank you.
this is the real deal. This lady I know, I can trust, and Rebecca's the same way too. So I mean, that's why we have these ladies on
That's
here,
why they're on
because
here.
they've been in the business for a long time. They know their stuff. You can explain to
Okay.
us about
Do you
the
wanna-
difference and everything.
Yeah,
But-
I'll jump in.
But
Okay.
first thing, can you girls give us your background
Okay.
first? Oh, I'm sorry, Berna.
Go ahead. Yes, give the background. Yes, that would be fine.
I actually am an unlikely medium and psychic in many ways because I grew up in a tradition in Scotland. It's routine to have mediums around you. So my grandmother was a trance medium, not through choice, but she.
Now, what's a trans medium?
It's a little bit different. I think I'm beginning to be a little bit like her, but that's not through choice either. So she was a very proper little Catholic lady who cared very much what people thought. But when you went shopping with her, and she had, what do you call that? Various things, OCD, all kinds of stuff. So we took an agoraphobia, so if somebody had to go with her. So if you take her, because she was so sensitive probably, so we'd take her to the store, buy clothes, and she's looking in the rack, and the next thing, she goes to the woman, "You have lost a child," and in a completely different voice, and the person starts crying, and we're like, "Nana, come on now, it's time to leave, let's go, come on, let's get out of here." Just ignore her, she's old. It was a guessing game, like who brings her. It was the whole thing. And the first time she met my husband, she was 87. She was deaf. This is my second husband.
Wow.
We were in a very large room.
Yeah.
And she stood up, and she was all of 4'10". She stood up and in a loud, her special medium voice, gave him his character in front of the whole family. And when she went upstairs, they hustled her up to her bed. When she went upstairs, she says, well, that's Patricia settled. I'm very happy. And I've been married now 34 years. So
Wow.
I guess it was a good plan.
Yeah.
But for myself, so I had zero interest in doing this because primarily it's old cat ladies. I hate to say it, Rebecca, sorry. But people saw it. Nothing personal. But one of the famous ones in my hometown was a one-eyed, old woman who wore black, and her house was scary and dark.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's my
it
future.
wasn't something you would aspire to in the 60s to 70s at
Right.
all. So for me, I went to London, I came to San Francisco, I did a million different jobs, and here I really honestly had no interest in it. Frankly, I liked getting readings, but I didn't have an interest in doing it.
Right.
So I wasn't one of those people that always was aware of doing this.
Yeah.
And while I managed an apartment building in the city for a while, and one of the tenants was a tarot teacher, and she had begged me one night. She said, Trish, please will you sit in on my class because I need 4 people. And I said, no, I don't like it. No thanks. And she said, I'll vacuum the hallways for a month. I said, okay, fine. So I changed my mind quickly. So I did it, and she was telling us, and I wasn't even listening because I figured I'm not going to do this anyway. But then we had to give each other little sample readings. So I just let loose and said, oh, yes, you're going to get it, or whatever it was. And the people were going, wow, that's so real. And I was like, but I'm just making it up. It's not really. And they were going, oh, you're really good at this. So at the end, she gave me a pack of cards ceremoniously and all the rest of it. I put it away for years. And then at one point I was working in the fashion center, and it was slow season. There was nobody there, and all of the designers were bored.
Yeah.
And so somebody started speaking about tarot cards, and I said, oh, I have some tarot cards in my house. And they said, bring them in, you can do readings. And I said, well, I don't know how to do readings, I just have the cards. So I brought them. I said, I'll pretend. So I brought them in. I said, sure, I'll try.
Here I go
But
again.
it was just playing around, I said, okay,
Yeah.
fine. So I brought them in. Very soon, people were calling from India to demand what they needed which things to buy for their fall collection. And after a while of this, I sort of thought, maybe I should start getting paid for doing this because this is becoming a bit tiring, all these people asking. So meanwhile, I opened a store, I had a restaurant, I had all kinds of businesses. I had a healing center, all these different things. I tried to
These weren't at the same time, though, or they were different times?
all during the time, but I did readings all along.
Oh, okay.
So for many years I had different businesses, and I was pretending to myself that this was just a little sideline.
Yeah.
But I always had an office, but I kind of faked it that it was just something I did because it didn't seem a legitimate job to me, realistically.
Right.
And then eventually, many years later, I finally said, you know what, this is what I do. Let me just quit everything else and do this. And since then, that's what I've done.
The one job that was there the whole time.
Exactly. I was always doing it.
It was meant for
Yeah.
you to do
I
the
was
whole
always
time.
doing it. And my tax accountant used to say, Trisha, what part of for-profit do you not get? I was like, I'm a non-profit, whatever. But since then, nothing much changed. But what I did notice was that years ago, the mediumship, originally I wasn't doing mediumship, I don't think, not deliberately. And then a couple of times I was doing a reading, and suddenly this stuff would come. And I'm a very logical, very rational person, and I would like to be practical in the advice that I give people.
So you're like, why am I thinking this all of a
I didn't
sudden?
even,
Why
well,
is
and I
this
was
in my
sort of compelled
Yeah.
to say it, and I'm just know the type, so I was going, oh God, what am I? So I ignored it, and then at the end, the person would say, oh, I was hoping my son David would come, and I'm like, oh, David, that was David. It was just going on, David. So eventually, I started saying a few things,
Yeah.
and when I started saying them, the people would go, oh, that's my husband, and blah blah, and it became more and more and more and more. So now I can more or less do it on demand.
Yeah.
Which is not officially what you're supposed to be able to do,
Right.
truthfully, because I grew up in somewhat the spiritualist church. So my family did attend some of the, we used to go to spiritualist church. We're not officially spiritualist, but we attended it. So I have found it to be a great comfort for people, and I'm very happy that I did find it. I gave in to it eventually. It took me a lot of years. I tried to make, and when I meet people, I say, "Oh," but they say, "What do you do?" I say, "Oh, I do counselling." It's just easier.
It is
counseling in a lot of ways.
Because otherwise they say,
counseling,
"Oh,
in a way.
Definitely
read my
counseling.
Pam," and frankly, I have no more hope of reading your Pam than you do.
Yeah.
So I just say, "Oh, I do counseling." Sorry, I'm allergic to the wine. In case you're wondering, I'm red, but the wine does that to me. So,
Yeah,
you
it does it to me
glow.
a little bit.
so in case you wonder why I'm suddenly purple, it's nothing to.
Can you see that, folks?
Yes.
Boy,
Hey,
it's
everybody, the
something.
whole audience
Do
can
you
see your
feel?
purple.
Do you feel it radiating through the air? It's burning hot cheeks. So, but realistically, that was an unchosen profession that I'm very, very grateful and happy to have. So that's the basic. But and my father then became a psychic later in life. So, and I have family members who are healers and mediums. So, I guess it's just all around. But I didn't want to acknowledge it, frankly.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. It
Yeah.
wasn't.
So it runs in the family.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, Rebecca, tell your
You
story.
wanna-
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say I've been around for many, many years, and there are 3 mediums that I can say are the top that I've met throughout all this time. One was Norma Tringali from Amron, co-founder. She's passed away years ago, who used to have seances that were beyond the beyond the beyond. Incredible. Great talent. Trish is another. They're right on the top, all 3 at the top. Trish is the other. Verna is the other.
Thank you.
So if anybody wishes to have someone that they feel they can trust, who's coming from authenticity and honesty and integrity, Trish, Verna. Okay.
Don't trust me.
Thank you very much.
Linda too.
No,
sorry.
don't
Oh,
trust
no,
Linda.
no, that's okay.
No, really,
I'm
don't
really
trust
not a
her.
reader.
Yeah.
I'm a ghost hunter.
Linda sees things. Linda has the vision, so she senses and sees things all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
But I'm a ghost
She's
hunter.
drunk.
Yeah, usually ghost hunter.
Yeah, not a psychic.
Yeah. So I started out in Marion, Ohio at a young age, and I was blessed with what are known multiple clairs: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, and an empath. So I can see, sense, feel, hear, and know things that aren't visible. And everyone has the potential to be psychic. We all have it. It's just some are more developed at it that don't shut it off early on, and they develop it. I grew up seeing people in my town locked in a life where they felt hopeless, helpless, stagnant, and afraid to go for their dreams. They were in a box. And I decided at an early age, somehow, some way, I wanted to help people go for their dream if they chose to get out of that box and go for it. I studied, and my background was in psychology and social work. So I thought that, again, of service. I wanted to serve. You can call spirit, God, the I am that I am, all that is, the universe, whatever, the creator source. But I had an inner innate feeling that I wanted to serve, to make the world a better place. And after getting my degrees, I realized that you were limiting yourself in so many ways, because I thought there was something wrong when a person would go to therapy for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're still dealing with the same problems, the same issues, and they're not happy.
Right.
They're still stuck. So I started studying everything that I could about spirituality and metaphysics. So I studied tarot, numerology, astrology, palmistry, the runes, the cartouche, because I felt if you could cut through the chafe and go into the subconscious and find information, you could help that person help themselves. So my whole service is about empowering people, because you all have the energy and the answers within yourself. It's just unlocking that, tapping into it, and finding out what your truth is.
Right.
Okay. So I work a lot in terms of energy, removing blocks that people have with energy. I work a lot with animals now because they are so sensitive and intuitive and pure, as Anthony said
Yep.
earlier.
Definitely.
They definitely respond and pick up to it very, very quickly. But the key here right now is we're all in the transition. We're moving into fourth, fifth, sixth dimension. The dimensions are coming so that we're seeing astral beings. People are going to be sitting there watching their TV or on their computer, and they're going to see beings. They're going to feel and sense. So a lot of people just need some focus and some intent of how they can deal with all this energy, and how can they still stay focused in their own life and not get distracted.
Oh, I'm going to actually hold you pause right there. We're going to do a station break and have to take a break and come back, and we're going to go right back into that.
And we'll go into our questions.
We are. So we will be right back, folks, after this next station break.
I see dead people.
When dead people want to talk to you, you start thinking about them a lot. You start remembering things about them. They just start being on your mind a lot. And for me, ever since I was a little girl, I've always seen and heard dead people. Okay, I didn't want to do that. It was just something that naturally happened.
Strangely enough, there are two jagged boulders which look really misplaced because everything is trees, and then all of a sudden you've got these stupid boulders sitting there.
And he could be found near
He's near the boulders.
Is he still with us?
You see the bicycle?
Well, that was famous alleged psychic Sylvia Browne on the Montel Williams show in 2003, 4 months after Sean Hornbeck disappeared. She said that Sean Hornbeck was dead. She was wrong about that. She said a Hispanic man with dreadlocks had taken him. She was wrong. And she told Sean's grieving parents where to search for his body. She, of course, was wrong about that as well. As you know, Sean was found alive, not stuck between jagged boulders, but in an apartment in suburban St. Louis. Mr. Brown's, or I should say Ms. Brown's mistakes does not end there, and it doesn't surprise famed debunker of the paranormal, James Randi, who also runs an educational foundation. He joins us now. James, thanks for being with us. What is your opinion regarding what we just saw happen with Sylvia Browne on the Montel Williams show? Does it surprise you?
No, I'm not surprised at all, because all of these people who say that they can speak with the dead, all of them, including Sylvia Browne, of course, are like vultures. They sit in a tree and they wait for the grieving to come by. Grieving people who are vulnerable and really need some help and are naive enough to think that if she appears on Montel Williams wouldn't deceive us, of course. She must be the real thing, and that's not necessarily true. And they jump on these people and charge, as Sylvia does, $700 for a 20-minute reading over the telephone.
And we are back to Ecto Portal. That last music break was Spirits by the Strumbellas and Blackbird Song by Lee DeWise. And Linda just threw her cell phone into the toilet. She's had to wash it,
My phone!
Linda, there's easier ways to wash your phone. You don't have to throw it in the toilet. I'm just saying.
I need my phone.
Rebecca, we were right in the middle.
Thank you.
Before we went to break.
Well, basically, I've been doing this since 1969. But I just like to state there's a difference between psychic and spiritual. It's not necessarily the same. Mm-hmm. And that goes into the whole thing of ethics and integrity. Secondly, I feel that everything is energy. And so if the energy changes, the outer will change. I also feel that many things are on the subconscious level or at the soul level. And if we don't address those issues, the patterns that created the first issue in the first place will continue to manifest in another form. So I'm all about going to the root cause, healing that, and then allowing the person to find the tools within themselves to make the changes they need in their life for themselves. And last of all, it's not me doing it. I'm simply the channel or the messenger. So It's always God or Spirit that's working through.
Okay. So you keep the energy in the channel flowing.
You're keeping the energy flowing. Yeah, the ego gets out of it.
You get your personality out of the way, and you let the spirit come through.
Yes. I cease to exist when the reading starts. It's how I can help you. How can I assist? And it's my higher self, your higher self, with God's source. And we're in
And is that ever something you've ever had to work on? Like when you like say early on, did you have to like keep your own personality out of it? Did you have to struggle with that at all? Was that ever a struggle?
Actually, I didn't, because I would just, whatever came through.
Okay.
And it was okay. For example, years ago, I would do readings for people at work. Mm-hmm. And I had this one lady who spent the lunch hour, and I was doing whatever was coming through. And everything I said, she goes, no. And I thought, okay. And I said, I'm just a messenger. That's okay. I'm just a messenger.
Yeah, just telling you. Put it out there.
Yeah, let it. So the next day she came back and she said, "I'm so sorry." She said, "You scared me to death. Everything you said was so spot on. It freaked me out, and I just froze and had to say no. But everything you said
that
was
her saying,
absolute-
"Nope, this is not real. It's not real. This isn't happening. This isn't happening."
Exactly, but it was absolutely accurate. And I said, "That's okay. Just take it for what it's worth." And again, all we're seeing is this snapshot in time.
Yeah.
And if you change your mind, your energy, your focus, often that changes the result. So it's never in stone.
Yeah.
It's never always this way.
It's just sort of an awakening knock. Like,
It's an awakening.
This is what's
knock.
going on right now.
Yeah. How did you know all these things?
Yeah.
You know, and some people get freaked out, and it's not an invasion of privacy because there is a responsibility when you do these readings that you have a commitment to serve something beyond yourself. If it's just to make the money, there are people that are very good at that, making money and drawing people in. And I would say if you're trying to find someone for a reading or a consultation, I would suggest prayer or meditation first, and you ask Source or your guides to help you find the right person that can help you, that you're connected with, that you have a heart connection, because it's all about the heart. So if you're not open to hearing the message, don't ask, because I will tell you what I get. It's the truth. It's not in a negative way, but even if it's something that's painful, we always try to heal that so you can move on.
So be careful what you ask for.
You just might get it. Yeah.
But you can also ask how to work with that,
Exactly.
and the spirit can give you answers too, because even when you have warning dreams, the dream is coming as a warning so that you could change it. It's the same when you're doing a reading. It's coming to you so that you can look at it and you can work with it, and it's not coming to condemn you or written in stone.
No, it's like if you see something, even health-wise, you may want to look at this or you may have this addressed. It's not to put fear. It's to give people the power to take charge of their lives as best that they can so that they can have some intent and some focus for them to have a happier life. Because it's all about all of us working together.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed when we were just off the air, we were talking about when psychics do this as a business, they ask for money in exchange. Mm-hmm. And it occurred to me while I was researching this last week for this show, just reading different articles and stuff, that time is money. We all go to work. We all expect to get paid. Our time is valuable.
Right.
So we don't, when someone says, "Oh, I can't believe you charge for these services." I mean, what do you feel like when you charge someone? It's like, well, what do you feel like when you go to work and they pay you?
Mm-hmm. Right. It's your time.
It's your time. It's valuable.
Yeah.
So this person is taking their time to stop their life, to sit down with you, to listen to what you have to say, so they in turn can tell you what they may have that comes through. And that's time. Time is money. Everybody has bills to pay. Everybody has lives. So it's very, very important to realize a lot of psychics are asking for money to pay for their time. They're not asking for a fifth house, Sylvia Brown. And I think that's the difference, too.
If they ask for your house and everything, run the other way because they'll take your energy and your money.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's say for the sake of of somebody who's never had a reading and who's never been to a reader, and they want to decide between you both. And now I know you just finished explaining it, but let's go ahead and say for the sake, hypothetically, they want to decide between you both or the signs they see in front of shop windows that say psychic reader. Those, you go past the sign that says psychic reader. So
West Portal.
Right, exactly. So what would be the difference between you both and a reader that they would see on the street that possibly may or may not have the best ethics?
Again, I would suggest meditation or prayer work first to be in contact so that you're guided to listen to your own gut, your own inner feeling. Mm-hmm. What feels right, okay? If you go to someone on the street and they tell you, "I see this cloud," or "let me tell you about this," or they try to push their energy on it, or you feel something that doesn't feel right between you and the other person, don't consider that person. They may give you a reading that's accurate to that extent, but they may be doing it if it's just for money. And you can kind of feel that or sense that because their energy is sort of, I hate to say it, it's sort of like a barker in a place. Like, let me tell you this, they push it on you.
It's like, I paid you, so now I expect.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like I can fix this for you. I can tell you this. I can do this for you. They kind of proud, for fee. Yeah, and especially people that will come up to you on the street and say, they'll give you some kind of message, and it rings fairly true.
Yeah.
And they say, I can help you, but you have this curse, or you have this cloud.
Oh, so it's a hanging thing.
And I can
but
remove
I can help
it.
you.
I can help you. It will take time,
Yeah.
and then you'll have to purchase these candles, these other things, and it might cost you $4,000 or $5,000, but that's the only way to get rid of that. So anybody that claims that they're the only one, or theirs is the only way, or that they're the best, or anything like that, they're coming from ego. They're not coming from soul. And again, if you're desperate for somebody, that's how they can get you in too, because they feel and sense
Well,
your
they want an answer,
desperation.
they want it
It's an
now,
easy mark,
so-
yeah. And some people also are addicted to psychics because they don't want to make any choices on their own. They want someone to tell them.
Those are the most frightening people.
And those,
to me.
and it's sad. No,
They're
no,
almost
no,
like energy
and so-
vampires.
So I've always asked that I just want to help clients who want to work on their lives. Who I only ask for people to come who I can help, who want help, and there's an exchange of energy, because the more you can empower someone else, they can empower someone else, and we're all empowering and freeing ourselves. This is not about keeping somebody coming back year after year after year, or time after time after time to get you money. If you're in it for the business and that's how you run your business, but you happen to be a psychic, you have to make that own decision within yourself.
What do you do to wean those people off? Do you identify them and go, oh, okay, this one I'm going to have to downplay? And
I can tell them a couple things. It depends on how needy they are. I'd say, okay. And it depends, because some people are in a huge crisis, emotionally, financially, everything. And one or two sessions isn't going to do it. They're going to need time. So I look at that as counseling, and I say, okay, well, we can work with you on this, but this is how we're going to do it.
Right.
This is how I can help you. And if they're coming back with the same thing and they haven't improved, and I give them homework and I give them something, tell me how you're doing, let's do a check-in, and for a certain amount. And if there's no change, then I say, I don't think I can help you. And I've only had maybe one or two people that I said, I don't think I'm the right person, because they were so desperate and needy. And it was some woman who was trying to reach a psychic on a psychic hotline, and she dialed my number instead. And I said, excuse me. And she
what
goes,
are the odds of that happening?
she says, I don't know. She goes, she goes, tell me, am I going to get this job? I'm going to do this. I don't care about it. I want to make it the job. I said, excuse me.
Yikes.
Let me calm you down. And I sort of said, okay, first of all, because I was trying to get, does she want the job? Because there's certain things about whether you're going to get something or not. You're going to lose it if you don't have the consciousness to hold the job. So it's more than just a simple yes or no. She didn't care. She just wanted that. I said, I don't think I can help you.
You have your own inner confidence that you
I've
would
seen
have got
people
the
do that
job.
to Rebecca. I've seen people very desperate for readings, and
Yeah.
they try to put Rebecca on the spot.
And they do that all the time. And so I don't. But also I don't want to leave somebody who's in pain. I will, even if I don't take them as a client, I will just say, I can tell you this. Why don't you do this, this, this? I would
Things to
advise you
try.
try to do this. Yes. But I try to always give somebody a sense of hope, because nothing is hopeless or helpless.
Right.
And if you can find that little spring of hope. For example, I had one client who came, and again, I've never refused anyone because of money.
Yeah.
And she lost her job. She was homeless in her car. And I gave her something, and I gave her what's called the Huna Prayer for Money that works for millions of people to bring it about, because that's what she needed most for that.
Right.
And I gave her a short reading, and I said, when you get money or something, if you choose to return it, then this is the fee. But I want you to promise you'll do this. So she said it, and I got a call back. As soon as she hung up, she found $3 in her car that wasn't there before. She couldn't find it. She had $3. Within 2 weeks, she had her job.
Wow.
So, but she was able to work. So she was in desperation, but there's a difference when you can sense somebody is really wanting that help and not just
she pay
taking
you?
your energy. Yeah.
Did she pay you back?
She did.
There
Yeah,
you go.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. I had another man at an event that he was actually looking for an angel, and I work a lot with the angelic realm and the celestial realm, and he was actually contemplating suicide at the time. I didn't know it. He was looking for an angel for his daughter. He came. He had no money. I gave him the reading, and I gave him a hug, and I told him, and so forth. And I got a phone call back a couple of weeks later, and he said it saved his life. I didn't know he was suicidal at the time, but what I told him, and he was looking for an angel and talked to the angels. Anyway, he sent me a huge check for a certain amount of money. But he also said whenever he got frightened or fearful, he could feel my energy next to him. He could feel the words coming out, and he felt uplifted for the first time because he was going through a divorce. He had lost everything. He was concerned about his daughter. So this is why it's so important that if you're coming from a sense of service and love, everybody benefits.
Yeah.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah, and it is.
Well, I could see the opposite extreme on if a psychic half-handedly said something to someone just to say something, it could have detrimental
very big consequences.
Because I had a client once, for 10 years, went to this person who was very reputable, went through a reputable school, the Edgar Cayce School.
Yeah.
The woman had her own bias about this, and basically she told the woman that her soulmate was this person who was with somebody else and she'd never be happy unless, and that he would come back to her. Well, the guy got married and had 2 kids and it wasn't coming back. And all I told her, the first thing was, said, you got to take your power back. You've given it to this man. Let's see if we can find something else. And I told what I felt was past life and where it was going. Yeah. She's gone on and left it behind. But like I said, sometimes people will keep you hooked into that, and you've got to be careful that it's not their bias in it. If they have issues with something that you're dealing with, that's the other thing, is getting your ego out of the way and just having that energy coming through. Trish is the same way. She's done so many readings for people that lost people. If you've lost a loved one or anything like that, please, Trish would be the best person right now.
She is wonderful.
She is fantastic.
Absolutely.
And since Trish wants business, but doesn't want to talk to people.
Doesn't want to deal with it. Just I'll send it in the mail to you. Very reputable, of course.
I'll hand you an envelope.
I shall imagine. Yes, I'll imagine you in your home.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and publish Trish's number on our page so that people who want a future reading from her can reach her, and Rebecca's number too. So.
Worth every penny.
So,
it's worth it.
So
there you go.
Well, because I don't advertise, all my business is word of mouth. But I do that specifically. I'm a little bit. I have found it works better for me because all of my clients are in some way pre-qualified that they come through someone else. So, and some of my younger clients started to review me on Yelp, and this is a comment of the Yelp. So. They gave me excellent reviews.
That's good.
But I didn't even know. They didn't mention it. Wow. So there were these 5-star reviews on the Yelp. So
that's
this
good.
was well, yes and no. So then after the wonderful Yelp reviews, suddenly I would get clients. Instead of my usual caliber of clients, I would get people coming to me. One woman came in, and I heard she came through Yelp, and I was a little bit trepidatious, but I thought, okay, we'll give this a shot. She comes in. She seemed a nice enough, normal woman. After about 15, 20 minutes, she explained that she was possessed by a demon. And the demon made her eat junk food and read those magazines at the Safeway checkout. Primarily. It wasn't a very terrible demon.
I heard that was bad habits.
So at some point, I'm sitting there in my chair arguing with a demon. So at which point, I thought, this is not really working. Then I had another woman who came, and it's like you said with that one. She walked in the door. She was a very elegant businesswoman type. She came in and I started to do my reading as I would do it. And she immediately said, I'm not interested in that. I want to know what day I will start a new job. And so I goes, well, this is how I do it. This is what I actually do. So I go back a little bit and she goes, no, I said, I don't care about all of that. So eventually I said, after about 10 or 15 minutes, I said, I don't think this is going to work because actually I can't do what you're asking. That's unreasonable for me. Maybe there's somebody would tell you, but I don't do that. That's not my field.
This is how I get there.
This is how I have a method, and that isn't, and also I will not be able to give you the date of your next job on the minute. I just won't. That's very highly unlikely. So at which point, interestingly, and I said, and I won't charge you for the session because this is not working. And it's only maybe 3 people in my entire career that's happened with.
Wow.
Which is interesting, but there were very few. But if you feel it's not, and it's not, I love people who are anti-psychic or skeptical. I absolutely love them because they're usually in tears after 15 minutes and love you. So it's great. You know, I really love it because you're helping them.
Yeah.
So I love it that you can, not for my ego, simply that they can then benefit from it, that they wouldn't have done before. But for my business, I would say also, when we're speaking about the ethics of the psychics, if a psychic asks you to come back again, people say to me, "Oh, when should I come back? I loved it. When should I come back?" And I say, there is no time you have to come back. So come back when you feel like it. If you have a question, if you want to come and talk to me, you can call up. You can. And I said, I don't like people to come too often.
Don't be here tomorrow.
Frankly, and this
work with the advice first.
But I really don't want to, because it's the things I look at as a reputable person and an ethical person. The things I look at is are there visible symptoms of mental illness or things that are out with my control or my skill level. Mm-hmm. And very often there are when you get people that are desperate, and they really are. So I gently say, do you have a doctor? Do you have a therapist?
Does this person find a new habit by coming
No, but I want to know. I've had people who were obviously bipolar and manic at the time, or they were addicted to psychics. Now that's not for me. I will work with them. It's not that I'm against it, but I don't want them to come back at all, because that's not what I do.
Yep.
And I'm not helping them. It's wrong to just comfort them, and meanwhile they may commit suicide or something. So it's a huge responsibility. Mm-hmm. You have to be very cautious when you're dealing with people, and that's why I find that the people who come out of nowhere, who know nothing about you, tend to be more complex in a way that I don't work. Like one man I had recently said, I have been looking on Yelp for 3 months now, and I've studied everybody, and I have chosen you, and this is a big deal.
That's
and I'm
not
coming.
daunting.
And I was like, okay. So then he comes, and I knew right away, as soon as my person that does the booking told me, she didn't even know he was from Yelp. She said, this man's coming, blah, blah, blah. The very first day on the way, he's late. Then he calls to say that there's traffic, and then he's an hour late. All this, and I'm waiting there. So then he comes in, and he proceeds to share a story. First, he comes off all normal, and he told me he was a very big psychic from Hollywood and all the rest. And he may well have been himself and had given it up because blah, blah, blah. And I was quite happy with that. I'm like, that's very nice, lovely, I understand that. Shortly, he was telling me that he's having this mad, passionate love affair, physical included, with a woman who is somewhere else and doesn't know anything about it. So, but it's in the body and in the mind and everything. So this is wonderful. So I'm like, okay, this is very nice. But can you call her? He knew the woman, but I was like, would you ever go and see her? Or, he's having difficulty. And I'm like, but you haven't actually seen her in 4 years? No. Then he tells me that I was working with another psychic, a wonderful woman. And I worked with her for the last 2 or 3 years, but unfortunately she had to go back to her country to take care of her mother. And I said, interesting. And how did she help you? And he said, I miss her terribly. And he said, well, she was working very hard to send healing to the woman in New York who doesn't know he exists. Please spare me. So that woman was charging him probably a lot of money.
That's scary.
And it's really scary. But he was missing her. He wanted, and I said, well, and what I told him, he was really, and he was he was very up on the lingo of the psychic things, and a very well educated sounding man. And he had said, well, what's your opinion? And I said, well, you're probably not going to like it, but let me give it to you. And I said, first of all, you have her email, you have her phone number. He did have a relationship, not a physical one, but a friendship with the woman at one time, and they'd studied psychic stuff in different institutes now. And I said, if I were you, I said, I would go. Can you go to New York? Yes. I said, I would tell her you're going to be in New York for business. Contact the woman. If she wants to see you, you get together, see how it goes. If she says no, you move on, because this is done. Right. This is no longer happening. And nothing anybody will tell you is going to fix that. Because the person has personally. And he said, but unfortunately I knew he wouldn't do it. So I said, but that's not how it's going to happen. So unfortunately you are going to keep going with this, sadly. Sorry to report, but right now. And he said, I was sure you would forbid me from doing it now. And I was like, no, because you're not ready to do that. He'd walked in there. There was no way in the world he was going to give up his marvelous, passionate relationship with the non-existent ghost.
Wow.
So
that's
sad. Things like that is, I don't want, he said, and of course at the end, typically enough, I thought, oh, this has been like an ordeal. And at the end, he gives me a big hug, and he was very intense, and I was, it's a huge man. At the end, he gives me a big hug, and he says, "You are the real deal. I'll be back." I was like,
oh my.
I can hardly wait.
Why me?
All right, hold that thought. We're going to go to our last music break, and we'll be right back on Ecto Portal.
But it's sad.
It's very sad.
The way that I teach intuition, psychic ability, is through the understanding of your innate intuitive type. Now, when we work with mediumship, I call this your innate medium type. What that is it's the way that you already naturally and normally connect and communicate intuitively with those on the other side. And you do this. Whether or not you recognize it, the spirit realm is not far away. It's not in a distant place, and it's not only for a special few to be able to connect with those on the other side. It's an innate quality. It's an innate sense that we all possess.
And we are back to Ecto Portal. So we're back talking about psychics and the business, the biz, and the ins and outs, ups and downs.
Ups and downs, okay. Which ups
all
and
around.
All around.
Addictions?
Yes.
The
And
good,
all
the
of
bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
The good, bad, and the ugly. I mean, in my field, it's a little bit difficult. Because I do mediumship, I literally deal with people. I have had people come into my office. A family came in carrying the mother on a Sunday, and the son had died in a car accident, their only son, coming home from college for holiday, and they'd had a fender bender on the Bay Bridge. His best friend's birthday. They were coming back. The friend was driving. He was in the way back sleeping of a Ford Explorer. The door flew open and he went off the bridge onto the road.
That's
and
so
was
sad.
killed. 20 years
How
old.
awful.
And the mother was literally carried in. Now my question to that one would be, but I was able to help them. They got the whole family. But money and that type of work is a very difficult combination. So for myself, very often in a first mediumship session, especially if people are really in trauma, I don't bother to charge. Usually I should, and it's not helping my bills any, but I find it doesn't match. It's not accept. Do you know what I mean? It's
No,
like if
I would
somebody
say it'd be hard to say it because you're in the middle of it. Let's stop everything. Can you pay me?
It is a business, but the point is, but
Yeah,
but I
exactly.
deal
It's a very
lot with
emotional situation.
Yeah, well, it's a tragedy,
Yeah.
and I have sons myself. In one period of time, in about 6 weeks, I had 4 women in my office who had lost their sons, all in the same age group as mine, tragically. And at that point, I honestly thought I was trading one of my son's life because I was able to help them. It sounds weird, but I had a son who was troubled. And I began to think, and it's erroneous really, but I began to think, why am I able to help those people? Because you cannot say, I understand when you haven't lost your own child.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. I do, and I'm used to it. So I see it a lot, and I know what their feelings are from what I perceive. But how do you say that you really know? You can't really know. In a sense, it's very presumptuous to say I know.
Yeah.
So for me, when I have those people in, what I normally do is try, and I work a lot with people that have lost young people, so suddenly. So I don't know the people, I don't know their children, but I try to connect with them and let them identify themselves and give information to the family. And very often they've arranged their funerals and they have arranged what they want done with their belongings, which is interesting. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes they get really into it, the spirits, so they'll jump in and say, oh, I want the thing with my initial on it to go to my cousin that has the same initial. And they'll be like, oh, that's Joanne. And you're like, okay, fine. You know, we know what you mean. And another one said, I've got mixtapes. They're going like, oh, the mixtapes. Some said, he's got some music. And they're like, oh, yeah, he made a lot of mixtapes. And like, well, okay, he's supposed to give them to his pals. But it makes the spirits happy sometimes that they can have some input. But it also comforts the family.
Yeah.
But where it can be difficult is I also have people who are widowed. They tend to be difficult also. There's a limit to when I don't want to keep doing this with the one person, if that makes sense. Because they're more of a conduit to the dead person than I am. I'm getting it through them. So I don't want them to become dependent on the fact that they can come to me. And people say to me,
Right.
"Oh, when I come, it feels like I'm visiting my relatives, my dead relatives. So we come and just have fun visiting and chat."
Family reunion every week.
Which is nice. But we don't, much as I would like to be busy, I don't want people to come back because I can't bring the actual person back. Some people really want their live person back.
It's like they need to
Which is impossible.
and deal with
they
it
need
and
that.
move on.
They want that, but it isn't
Yeah.
possible. And
Yeah.
any medium or person who tells you it is lying. So I mean,
Yeah.
the keys, I think, say you shouldn't be able to tell people. I have people asking me, when will I die? Or how long? Now, you can't. We are not given that gift to tell you
Then
that.
why would you want to know that, really?
Well, people ask it frequently, but
It's weird.
I've seen people do that.
And I have clients who were told a certain time and lived in misery and lived past it, but they were terrified when they became 64.
See, that's the
You should
reason
never
never
tell
to
them
find
that.
out.
Very,
Yeah.
Well, we don't. There's where the ethics comes into it. The ethics comes in. I had an example. I had a good one actually that turned out well, a very good one where I had to use.
We actually have about 4 minutes left.
Okay, I had okay, amazing. I had one that turned out very well. That was memorable. I do tea parties sometimes in Lovejoy's English Tea Room. I
Oh, yeah,
used to own
Lovejoy's.
it.
I remember
I
that.
used to own
Yeah.
Lovejoy's. So
Oh, really?
yeah. So I would do
Up until when?
Years ago, but I had it for 5 years. Years
Wow,
ago, and I sold
that's
it to
nice.
the current owners, but they just resold it. Very nice. But I would do tea parties. So I was doing a little party, and these are light, but I'm a real psychic, so it's difficult for it not to be real.
Right.
So it was a lady's birthday, and she's sitting there with 3 friends, and she was in her 40s. She was a nurse, and suddenly I saw she just got married, and I said, "Oh, did you want to have children?" There was something about children, and she said, "I've just found out I'm pregnant, but nobody knows. It's a secret, right?" I just was so shocked, her and her husband, because they were in their 40s and they did not expect it. They were so happy to find each other, but that was not on the agenda. Well, I'm looking at my cards and I saw that she would lose the baby. So I don't know this woman. It's 2 minutes that I'm with her, and she's a stranger. What to do? So I made a decision based on what I saw. So I had another quick look, because it was torturing me, because she was so happy, and I thought, am I going to just say, "Oh, great," and that I couldn't do it, because that's not what I'm there for. But I can't just say some horrible thing either. So I looked, and I saw that there were children for her, or a child at least. So I said, "Listen, I just have to say something but it was a clear termination card, and miscarriage." And I said, "Just in case something happens with this pregnancy," I said, "which pray God it doesn't, but there's a possibility of it. There's always a possibility. You are going to have a child, so don't worry about it, because I know you worry, but I mean, sometimes these things happen." About 2 months later, I was in the tea room, and she was in the bathroom. She came out the bathroom, and she was white and pale, and she hugged me in tears, and she said, "Oh, Trish, I lost the baby. You were right." And she says, and I just kept telling myself the whole way to the hospital, "Trish says I'll have another. Trish says it'll be okay." And I felt so horrible, because I thought, "Oh my God, what have I done? Why was I doing this?" The woman was 43
Yeah, but
now.
you handled it the right way.
Well, I saw it, but I
too.
also was sure I saw it. So I met her about 5 years later. She showed me her photographs. She had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, a boy and a girl.
Oh, that
and she
must have
says,
been-
"I'm exhausted." I said, "I didn't give you them. I just said them to come. It's not my fault." But she said, "Here she is. This is the woman I've been telling you about
But that
for
must have been
years."
rewarding for you to see her children later.
But I
pictures
got
of
to
them.
see it, because that was the only way I could tell her, was because actually I was too cowardly, but because I really saw it. But then I thought, okay, it's going to be okay. Here you are.
Very
So
nice.
that was it. But that's ethics, where you have to think on your feet.
Yeah, definitely.
that's true.
Really quickly.
Okay, where can they get a hold of you if they don't have a serial problem with psychics?
Yes, as long as no serial problems with psychics, and not too much in the realms of demonic possession, because those are not
Would
my
you rather
field.
they get hold of like Verna?
Yes, please feel free if it's something of that nature, but other specialists. For me, I have a phone that's available. My phone number is available at 415-695-1149.
Okay.
And you can call that 24 hours a day, and someone will get back to you very quickly.
All right.
And for you, Rebecca?
How about you, Rebecca?
Okay. My phone number is 415-282-5414. And I take the calls personally.
And websites? Either one have websites at all? Nope.
No, we are basically...
You're off the grid?
Yeah, we're sort of off the grid. Well, the only advertisement I do is the Sedona Journal, and that's international. And then the psychic fairs and so forth. But we're basically word of mouth and repeat. That's how we get our business, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you both for being on tonight.
Thank you so much for your
we'd love to have you
input.
guys on again.
Yeah,
we enjoyed
Please
it.
come back.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back.
And next week we have Glenn Steckling from the Adamski Foundation is coming back.
Part 2.
For part 2.
Part 2. So stay tuned for
Unfortunately,
that.
I won't be there next week.
Yeah, I know. We'll
It'll
have to
be
go
good to
at
have
it
Glenn
alone.
back.
So until next week, folks, see you back in the Ecto Portal.
See you next week.
Sleep soundly.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden. Be sure to visit us at www.ectoportal.com. Check out our archives on YouTube and head on over for new episodes to ectoportal.podbean.com.